like to invite Professor Daksh Jain and Usman Khan to give the concept note for APIC 2025.
Good morning everyone. Welcome to APIC 2025 Reflections of Future Architecting Intelligence, exploring the impact of AI on built environment. Artificial intelligence in recent time has taken the domain of technologically advancements, user accessibility, resource management, and so on, aiding human interaction and enhancing their experience. This has also extended in the field of built environment, thereby establishing its cue in architecture and urban studies. With changing times and evolution, the role of AI and its exploration has increased multifold in the dynamics of built environment through aids such as analytical toolkits, algorithms, generative AI, and simulation design tools. With the advancement in technology and innovations in digital domain, the realm of architecture and urban development has seen massive strides of transformation. This transformation also reflects in the practices and novel approaches that the architecture world and the urban pedagogy witnesses. As Saskia Sassen writes in her book, The Global Cities, cities have become the organisms that facilitate the exchange of capital and information through network channels. The cities are embodied with intrinsic networks of economy that have massive transition with technology and data-based digital tools. Manuel Castle, through his book and through his research work, has stressed enough in talking about the cultural and institutional and spatial shifts over the decades in the society, owing to the enhanced and critical role of electronic communication, networks in the facets of everyday life such as work, livelihood, public services, social interaction, education, and politics.
The patterns and fabric of a network society presents a varied and dynamic organization of the society and the spaces it iterates and creates. The city renders an identity of ever-transitioning space permeating the flows of technology, innovation and economy that reflects its societal, cultural, political and spatial reconfigurations. Cities thus become the repository of vast amounts of networks, information and data which are crucial in the urban growth and development. In the national context, post-liberalization, India has swiftly taken up the road to develop ICT networks and digital infrastructure, largely focusing on the urban centers. These innovations and technical advancement have created a ripple in the essence of digital public infrastructure. India, with its shared open technology platforms and API, has enabled public governance and management to develop business skills and create community-based digital ecosystems that majorly drive economic growth. The penetration of the internet and affordable data in India post has opened the floodgates of digital tools and instruments within a larger set of audience and not limited to only urban centers. The spatial reconfiguration in Indian cities can be modeled through the large data sets based on systematic measuring, analysis, sensing, and prediction of urban systems. The urban systems are based on integrate and rhizomatic layers of people, place, and phenomena, with multi-sectoral influences of geodemographics, urban fabric, and morphology, housing, economic practices, consumption, trade, migration, health, spatial interaction, recreation, and governance. With these advancements in technology, it is important to acknowledge and address the emerging challenges of digital education, citizenship, participatory approach in planning, representation, and evaluation of data-rich and smart development. The digital divide at the moment seems to be wide between the urban and rural population, with major policies and schemes routed in the urban areas. The digital marginalization and pressing urban issues in Indian cities can be curbed using the advanced digital tools and toolkits in creating frameworks for inclusive development through mapping, visualization, simulation, and modeling.
It is required to have incubation of sustainable digital social innovations, DSO, that will ensure digital technologies that support diverse user communities and facilitate long-lasting social values and impact. The technological and digital advancements and innovation in architecture and urban discourse can be harnessed as collaboration between academia, public and private domain, leading to an inclusive and participatory approach in planning, supporting and sustaining the civic engagement through action with the community. This facet leads to research and critical inquiry of urban spaces and development of multiple framework that includes initiation, innovation, and integration of approaches and knowledge systems of the community. The digital reforms with the integration of AI in architecture aims to address the pressing issues of data availability, data management, capacity and skill building of the stakeholders, and development of customized toolkits for urban India. Promoting digital literacy and educating the community at various scales about the safe and secure use of digital technology tools is an important step that needs to be integrated with the discourse in urban and rural India. Creating pools of shared digital infrastructure with acquired knowledge of caring, sharing and management and cataloging of these data sets can foster the participation of larger set of people in decision-making process. This integration paves the way for a future that is based on upward mobility and social mobilization, economic flows that focuses on the circular economy, resource efficiency, precise management and enhanced preparedness. Now, we would like to welcome our keynote speaker, architect Monish, to come over and present his address. Monish Siriparapu is the founder and principal architect of Ant Studio, New Delhi, which he started in 2010. He graduated from School of Planning and Architecture, SBA Delhi in 2009 and received the prestigious Jain Tata Scholarship in 2015 for his PG diploma in robotic fabrication from the Institute of Advanced Architecture at Katalur, Spain. In collaboration with his colleague, he has won various national and international competitions for architecture and design. In collaboration with his colleagues, he has also been part of Green Design Award for Design Against Elements Day, the Commercial Design Award at Kuwait 2018, and most recently the competition for innovation and development of Imagination Center at Jaipur. His works have been published across various well-renowned architectural journals and platforms such as World Economic Forum, Architectural Digest, Art Daily, and Inhabitat amongst others. The core intent of his work is to bridge between spheres of art, nature, and technology. Thus, his studio is named Ant Studio. The core intent of his work is also to produce simplistic, almost intuitive design solutions and use technology, whether it's computational design, robotics, or mechanics, as a tool towards realizing the design. Ant Studio works with a clear vision where sustainability is not seen as an option, but a core principle and an opportunity to create designs that go beyond functional and aesthetic concerns, generating an intimate rendezvous between the products and nature. Monish is also an active participant in major events covering architecture and design. He was invited as a keynote speaker at World Environment Day 2018, event held in New Delhi, and has been invited to speak at various conferences, including prestigious 361 conference in Mumbai and a TEDx event. We welcome you, sir.
से भी लेकर दोनों साथ में उधर से लगा कर फिर इधर ले करेंगे। आप लोग लेके आ रहे हैं, आप चलिए। कुछ भी करने दे अपना ही बरोबर अपना लगा बाद में देखेंगे बस वो इधर लाइव होता रहेगा
Hey guys, hi, good morning. Thank you for the warm introduction that I had today. And before I actually talk about the work that we do and what about the practice and AI, I would like to ask this question, anyone in the audience or the students, what do you see? Can you have some mics, please? What do you see?
माइक दे दो ना माइक उससे ले जाके दो उधर उधर जो कुछ सीनिंग करना फिर
It's okay, I'm not expecting the name of the project, just what do you see on the screen. The name is already written.
क्रॉस सेक्शंस
Cross sections, great. What are the cross sections? What do you see?
बातचीत कर रहे हो वो भी आ रहा है मैं बातचीत कर रहा हूँ
पैंथियन
Yes.
एंड some opera house
And so what about these two images?
हाँ
Each is a classes or each
साहब वो क्लास होगा
ask company.
What about these two specific images that you see on the screen?
आप लोग बात करें
हेलो शिवम अरे हेलो
So we have cross
So I the notion of what it is possible for us with the help of technology. And almost and but one thing that's amazing in both these images is that on the left is a building. If you look at the amount of material that is used,
स्टिकर इसमें स्टिकर
I mean, it's not small, but compared between the two. And look at the amount of material that is used on the right, trying to make something even much larger than that. So, speaking about technology and how things are moving, and so I mean, it's not a history lesson, but like if you look at since the ancient Egyptian times to now what we are building right now, what you see the contemporary architecture, advanced material modeling, algorithms, parametric. How old do you guys think it is? All of these things are happening. Anyone? Students? It took a few centuries to move from like from the left to right. But then, if you talk about the recent advancement, the last thing, extreme right, how old is it? Quick. 1 year, 2 years, 10 years, 20, 30? Anyone? Guess, quick.
Like the past 5 decades or so.
5 decades or so. You're close. So we have been seeing decent developments since, I think in the later part of the presentation you'll get much more clarity on this. In the last few decades, a lot has changed in terms of how we build, how we imagine, and how we visualize things. And so this presentation that I'll be talking about is the work that we do in the studio at Ant. And we focus on the built environment, and mostly inspired by nature, trying to see how we can make spaces inspired by nature and biomimetic, and how can we draw inspiration, whether it's a form, function, or even like divided into forces. So some of my earlier work, which talks about, sorry, I have to keep turning this way, and is around how to seek inspiration from nature, everything that is living, and see how we can actually take inspiration into the built environment. These are some of my very early works. I mean, there is no particular order why I picked this, but here I'm trying to explain, like, explore different scales. There's an installation that was inspired by pangolin, trying to see how we can actually take pangolin as an inspiration for a project using terracotta, but using all parametric tools. That was the idea behind it. Also, the idea was that terracotta was always looked upon as a very cheap and not so exciting material. And one of the ideas before doing this work was that I was already into the practice for 3 to 4 years, and then had the experience of losing projects because we do a lot of work like exposed brick. And some of the clients thought that brick is not really that cool, or the terracotta, and it looks unfinished and cheap. So the idea behind this work was that can we actually try to define this notion of what is the cheap and what is otherwise can be, with the help of some of the technological tools, and also make it aspirational for clients to pick some of these materials and take it forward. So moving on, and like I said, we take also looking at another project which was a competition that we did, trying to pick inspiration from the fractals and also Fibonacci series as a mathematical expression, and see how we can use it for creating. This is a project that was proposed for Amar Jivan Jyoti, which is an eternal flame. And the idea behind this work is how can we use this floral as a symbol, but using this Fibonacci series, but at the same time, so this is how it looks, as if people can go and actually pay their respects to the martyrs. And in the middle of this, we have a flame that is, part of the landscape. But another thing when we talk about technology is also that we should try and solve certain issues or problems. That's the way that we see it. So one of the key ideas behind this project was that not only just the geometry or the flame, and but also when we talk about an eternal flame, which it means that it will be burning forever. It's very, can you imagine how much of fuel is going to be burned trying to keep the flame alive forever? So based on the modern tools and technology, we thought that what if we took a hologram as an inspiration for the flame and try to replace it with this, rather than trying to consume real resources and fuel in the whole project. And that was the idea behind this, so that it also indicates what is it that we as people are capable of doing in today's date, and if there is a possibility to redefine how we look at, paying respects in a different manner. So moving on, this is another project which is an animal shelter. So one of the ideas behind this is this animal shelter was for a client as part of their farmland, and where they are actually planning to build eventually a nice farmhouse. So they wanted also it to be looking nice, and at the same time be a space for like around roughly 20-25 cows. So typically when you look at an animal shelter, it's a shed. It's a simple sloping roof and a shed that is there. So what the idea behind this, what we proposed is, okay, what if we imagine the shed that is actually a sloping roof to be as if a bird is opening its wings, and the whole transition in motion is captured as a form of the building. So what happens if we try to take that and see what comes out of that? And so this is how it turns out. and trying to, it's a structure where, and also we try to do it in a manner that, this entire thing is actually columnless, so that it also gives this, as close to this narration of a bird opening its wings. And these are some of the structural drawings that we did, trying to crack this, the concept of how this can work out. And on the top, the whole thing is left with a skylight so that it can bring in natural light into the whole building and so on. Things like this. So, yeah. Moving on, and another residence, but this time it's a residence. So this was done for a client who is, of all the people that I personally met so far, he's one of those guys who has the luxury of having all the advanced, complicated technology when it relates to manufacturing. He owns a factory which manufactures components for space and defense industry. So you can talk about the advanced robotics, 3D printers, metal 3D printing, you name it. And large scale, he has it. So the challenge he put in front of us is, Monish, can you guys do something? And the funny thing, the first thing that he told me is, typically clients give you some Pinterest board images or reference or something like that. He says that, I'm looking at a house like that of an Iron Man. And that's the thing that he told us, we want to have something wherein he can drive his car onto the first floor and park it on the top, and then go down and this one, because the road is on the back side, but this house faces the golf course. And so the idea is that he wanted to drop off every day, climb the building up, and on the first floor, so that the building is actually, the entrance is sandwiched between the top and the bottom. So we came up with this whole idea and the notion of reatomic surfaces. Are you familiar with reatomic surfaces, anyone? Any students, faculty, reatomic surfaces? No? Okay. So this is a concept developed by Daniel Piker, and what reatomic surfaces mean is surfaces that are walkable. So which means that you have this complex geometries, but it's like landscape where these are surfaces that you can actually walk, and the slopes or everything is mathematically defined, that it's easy to, it's like you're walking in a landscape. So what we said to the client is, if within this building, if you notice, it's not just the roof that is sloping, but it's also the floors that are there are actually at an angle where creating all the circulation, this mix of this flat and free-flowing spaces, so that the whole building feels like it is carved out of a landscape, and people can walk and live inside this in a, as close to nature as possible. Because so far, everything that one has done, like we only explore forms which are external, but the floors inside remain pretty much straight, at least in houses. So yeah, that was the idea behind this. And this is actually my first project which I did after I did my master's. I came back to India and I wanted to do something here. And but the key idea behind this project is not just the form. This was an existing building we built on top of this, but also to use local laborers and masons to get this form. So in the entire thing, what you see in here, it could have been very easily done with the help of CNC and other parametric manufacturing tools and all that. But the whole form was actually done on the site using regular, fabricators and labor, and we got this zinc manufacturer to do it. Even they have actually done all the panels and everything on the site. And everything was done on ground without using CNC. And while I think the whole idea that we were exploring is this was actually 10 years back, and CNC is still like, even now I think it is limited to only metropolitan cities like all Delhi, Mumbai, and Bangalore and all the big cities, but the small cities don't have the luxury of these machines. Either you have to get it from outside, transport it, and get it to the site. So in this, we said that what if you have taken the most complicated of the shape of the forms and make it on ground, and how far we can push this agenda to make something happen on ground. So moving on, this is a building, but the narrative here is slightly different. This is not about parametric, this is not about computational tools, it's not about how technology can push in terms of the building fabric, but more on the lines of the performance of the building. So this is designed in a factory where you see all of these buildings are, they manufacture these steel components for automobile, where they do this casting of steel. For, you must be seeing all these automobile the gearboxes and all of that, right? It's extremely hot environment. So this is a canteen for those workers where people can actually go and this one. So when you're designing a canteen or a spillout space, it's very important to make sure that when people are coming from such a hot environment into something in the afternoon, it has to be passively cooled without using any air conditioner. And it's not that the clients cannot afford or can or cannot afford air conditioners, but the idea is also that there's a tendency to have thermal shock when you move from extremely hot environments to extremely cold environment. So the idea in here is, what if we make a building 100% passively ventilated, but the skin is designed in such a manner, it provides shading and also ventilation and cooling at the same time. So that was the idea behind this, the project. So in this, we went on to do, like I said, it's not about the form, but trying to look at data and technology from a different perspective, understanding the impact of the built environment, carbon footprint, and the overall performance of the project. So everything that is shown so far was done the way that we were doing no AI so far, and everything was done using computational tools and I would still say parametric tools and whatever modeling and computational design, pretty much. But yeah, there's some other work using passive design. Maybe I can, so all of these works are done using these, the standard way of designing. You sketch, you make a 3D, you create a computational model, you analyze, and take it forward. And also keeping in mind the performance of the buildings. But a lot has changed in the last couple of years, isn't it? So we are talking about AI and technology today. So what is the most common AI feature that we use? Anyone? You all use? Sorry?
ChatGPT.
ChatGPT. Okay. Other than ChatGPT and design, forget about architecture. Sorry?
Meta AI.
Siri. Oh yeah, that's fantastic. Yes, Siri is the pretty active. And how old is Siri? $20 years? 15 years? 15 years. It's 15 years. 2011 it came out. And the facial detection of your phones, it's AI. You walk into an airport, you don't have to scan anymore even your boarding pass. It's AI. And all your Instagram, everybody uses Instagram, right? So what it tells you, what you like, what you don't like, whom to be friends with, whom not to be friends with, and throwing stories according to your taste, your domain. What you practice, architecture, you get only architecture, the post talking about it. If you're into fashion, you get everything related to fashion, your interests and all that. And Google Translate. When was the first time you guys used Google Translate? Anyone? (2006) was the first time Google Translate came out, and believe it or not, that's one of the most popular, as in the first commercially available tool for wherein AI started penetrating into the real world. Okay, the voice assistants, which is Siri and Apple Intelligence. Oops. For some reason, there is the videos are not playing. I'll skip through this. So we talk about artificial intelligence, right? I think this is AI. So I'm assuming that you guys are really smart, the kids here in Rizvi. I remember when I was in college in SPA Delhi, we used to, especially at NASA, we used to compete a lot with Rizvi. You guys were, I don't know now, I don't have any idea. But back then, Rizvi was winning a lot of awards and trophies. So, so I know that you kids are really smart, but artificial intelligence, so you know, I'm assuming that most of you know what it does and what it can't do, right? So what is intelligence? And more importantly, when was the first time, like I said, Google Translate came in 2006, 2007, and the first AI came in 1956. Okay, AI started coming into picture, and these are some of the pioneers. I don't think you'll remember any of the names, but what will be really interesting to look at this, if you guys are really interested about technology and how it's moving forward, is to understand like the people who are really contributing to this and how it can impact architecture or the art domain. So 1950s is the first time Alan Turing came up with this concept of artificial intelligence. And moving on further, there are this bunch of key milestones that happened in the world where people started using this, it started entering into like getting stronger and stronger. And 1980s, some of you said that 1980s of around 30 to 40 years back, when neural networks started coming into play. We'll talk more about it slightly later. But in the last, you can see how quick it is moving in the last decade. 2015, we started detecting people, and AI is able to understand human faces. And in 2016, Google acquired DeepMind. All of you know Midjourney and other stuff which happened. We'll talk a little bit more, like I said, as we go. And ChatGPT in the last 2 years, we know what kind of havoc that it created and why. So, like, we speak a lot about this AI and other stuff, but I want to play this video. Give me 1 second. So while I'm waiting for the video to play, can Seven talk about what is intelligence? Anyone? We speak a lot about AI. Students? No idea? How do we define intelligence? So there's a beautiful video that's not playing. And how do we define human intelligence? How do we measure human intelligence? Yeah. Is there a mic over there? Yeah, right behind you.
The ability to comprehend something, remember it, and then put it to use.
Perfect. Absolutely. So how do you measure it? Yeah, there's. Can you please take the mic? It's right behind you. Yeah.
More than defining, I think that there are many types of intelligence. There can be a creative intelligence, emotional intelligence, analytical intelligence.
Yes, absolutely.
All can be defined differently.
Fantastic. So yes, there are different forms of intelligence, and it transcends just humans. Yeah, you have something to say? No? So definitely, but how do we measure it? I'll give an idea. So ChatGPT 3, when it first came out, it was able to process 173 billion parameters, as these are the number of parameters it could process, understand. For example, when we say the color of the sky is green or blue, is it possible that it can be green? No, the chances of being green is very remote. So when you say that what is the color of the sky, the first thing that comes in when you search, it starts throwing things like it's blue, because that's the most common. But of course, it can be sometimes orange and yellow also, and gray for that matter. So it starts making its predictions based on the parameters that it already knows and trained for. And but it will never say that it is going to be some funny color like pink or something, which is least predictive, right? So it makes its judgments based on that. So ChatGPT 3, when first came out, 173 billion parameters, it was trained 173 billion parameters. Then came ChatGPT 4. It came with between 1 to 2 trillion parameters it was trained for. And how it is trained and all, we'll look into it. But so can you now tell me what is the size of human intelligence? Guess. Anyone? No idea? 100 trillion parameters. So human intelligence is about 100 trillion parameters. Now if you quickly look at it, like this is how quick in the last just 1 decade technology is moving. 2018, ChatGPT 1 and 2 and 3 and all that, and we are at 2024, ChatGPT 5 that's coming. And 10 trillion is all the text that is ever written in books, digitally and everything. The parameters that are there in textual is 10 trillion parameters that are there. And there's a Moore's law which says that every 2 years the amount of technology gets doubled. Now that came down to just 6 months, and in 6 months, but it exceeded 10 times. That's what Sundar Pichai is saying, that we have failed this Moore's law. It's not applicable anymore. That's the pace at which we are moving things. Now this is crazy. Now let's talk about architecture a little bit, because we're talking too much about technology. You can see that 1970s, 1950s, first time AI came into picture. And we are here right now. Now with the technology, you can see that different phones and computers and everything that have happened, Pentium, Intel, and all of these things that are moving across this graph, and from 1970s to 2018. But if you look at when architecture tools started coming into picture, and how many of those? Google Earth, we use it for some kind of scanning, understanding. Rhino and Grasshopper, 2006. It's only last 20 years that we have tools that are parametric in nature, still not AI. And moving forward, we have Autodesk BIM, came in 2008, and 3D printing, 2010, AR in 2014, and generative design and algorithms in 2016. Less than 10 years. So this is the pace at which technology is moving, and these are some major milestones that we have. But you can also check on the top some of the major milestones when it comes to Autodesk, APIC, some of the tools that we guys use right now, which you can see on the top. Now, why is it so important for us? And when we're talking about building construction and all that, because the reason for this is it is very difficult to predict right now what is going to happen in the next couple of years. And why is it so important for us, the way the technology is moving right now, and for us to match and understand, and why is it so important for us to look at the parallels that are happening? Because we, as architects and designers, we are not actually developing these tools, we're only using them. And someone is developing the tools, and we are only utilizing these tools in our in the domain. Now, 1982, when AutoCAD came into picture, look at the technology then and technology now. I'll just jump to the conclusion. Okay, so which is now we are talking about 2022. There are something called as agents, which I think at a later part of my presentation I'll talk about more about the advancements of the current tools and what it can do. But there are self-learning algorithms that are there. We don't have to. Intelligence is no more restricted to us, and it has moved. A tool can make its own decision and build for us and actually think for us and do everything that is beyond that. So before we jump into architecture and the possibilities of that, now this is what I think, if you guys are really interested about the future of artificial intelligence and what it can do, now this is the crazy part, super intelligence. So we heard of artificial intelligence. So what is super intelligence? We all know artificial intelligence, right? We have been talking about it like so much. So what is super intelligence? What can it be? Guess. Make a wild guess. It's okay. Make a wild guess. Let's keep it a little bit fun and interactive. Come on. What can be super intelligence? Backbenchers. Yes.
Beyond human intelligence.
Beyond human already has gone. Artificial intelligence has gone beyond human.
So like beyond 100 trillion parameters that we saw.
Beyond 100 trillion parameters. Okay. So what super intelligence mean is, now this is the scary part, guys. I think this is something that we should all be worried about, not happy about. So when you look at this graph, I spoke about this 1 trillion parameters, ChatGPT 4 trying to move towards. Now we are heading towards a phase where The way AI has developed is something based on the whole concept of language models. There are many different versions of this. And wherein you train a bunch of data. In ChatGPT 4, we are talking about, let's say, 1 to 2 trillion parameters, right? That's what we said, ChatGPT. Human intelligence is 100 trillion. Now, what super intelligence is trying to do is automated research. Now, it is able to conduct research on its own, not only just understand data that is available, it's able to understand data that is not available, understand what is missing, creating research papers, taking assistance from AI to validate it. So there's something called as automated research, AI research, and it is creating information that does not exist on its own, self-creating awareness, and wherein humans are completely out of the picture. So there are different forms of AI, what it's called as agents. So what it can do is, one AI writes a paper. The other AI studies it and validates it. And another AI publishes it, gives a comment like how we as humans interact, and starts building stuff that does not exist. Now that is intelligence, super intelligence, and what even can be an intelligence explosion. So this is another graph of how this technology is trying to attain the human intelligence so far, and where we have reached at the moment. And but it is not very far from this one. So there's a small interesting fact. Llama 2, like ChatGPT, another language model. Just to train the model of Llama 2 by Meta, Facebook, the parent company of Facebook, they have produced 539 metric tons of CO2 into the environment, trying to train the AI model. So it's not environmental friendly as well. It takes a lot of energy to do this. So shifting to architecture, so we guys in the studio were curious. So we said, what is the best building that you can think of? What's the most beautiful building in the world? It started giving us these results. Okay. Can you guys read what's on the screen? Antila, Mumbai. Shah Rukh Khan's house, Mumbai. Mehrangarh Fort in Jodhpur. Kumar Residence by Raju Saini in Chennai. Sukoon by Amit Khanna Design Associates. So this is the data that is given by what AI understands is the most beautiful house of these projects. There's no Taj Mahal in the list or some other projects. And why is it so in India? Why? Why does AI think these are the most beautiful houses? Is it right? It's debatable. Of course, I don't have anything against the buildings that are there, but is it correct, this information? No? So why does it think that these are the houses that are the most beautiful in the country? Because the way AI is trained, it takes all the data that is available on the internet and start coming to conclusions based on people posting Instagram things, people writing ads on Facebook posts. That is the intelligence that it has. It takes information that is available on the internet. That's what its cognitive thinking, saying that this is what it is, and it makes conclusions based on that. Whether it's correct or not, it's debatable. Do you guys agree that all these buildings are the most beautiful in the country? No? I don't know. Like I said, I'm not coming to conclusions on this, but it makes its conclusions based on data that is fed into the systems, a bunch of information that is there, and makes it conclusions. Now moving forward, and so different forms of AI. I'll very quickly skim through this. We know that some of these things might be a little, new to you guys. One is language models, a bunch of text fed into the computer. What is language models? And the text is trained. ChatGPT is an example of language models. Llama, ChatGPT, Gemini, and all of these things. And neural networks is something, these are the key terms I think you should, if you're very interested in AI, you should remember. So trying to mimic our brain, how we make our cognitive decisions based on, you receive an input and you make a decision based on that. Inspiration for neural networks. Text prediction, we already know. You put a text and then it understands what is going to be there by the end of it. And so for those guys who are really excited about the future, are really excited and wanting to do something with AI, two things in this you should keep an eye on out of all these 8 parameters that you see. Any guesses? There are 8 on the screen. What do you think is the most could be highly, I don't know whether good or bad, but very impactful, powerful in the future? 2 things. For architects, let me get back to not in general, we as architects. Guess? All of them are very powerful, but two can be extremely on the higher side. Guess, quick. Image modeling, spatial intelligence. Sorry? Neural networks, okay. Last guess. Agents. Yes, absolutely, agents. Agents and spatial intelligence are the most, can be highly powerful and can create havoc. We will see how it's going to work. So neural networks, I already skipped a lot of slides, leaving few important ones. It's nothing but you take the data, you get a lot of inputs that are there, you process, and I'm not going to get into the technical side of things. And this is a very simple algorithm. It's way more complicated than this. And it creates this bunch of things and gives you, processes all the information that is thrown at it. And this is how it is. This is also a simplified version and gives you the results. In short, that's how neural networks work. Okay, trying to mimic the brain. Thousands of parameters that come in, it processes and it gives you the data. Okay, how neural networks work. But how does it arrive at the conclusions? We spoke about the India's best buildings, right? What it does is, it picks data from everything that is online, like GitHub, Quora, everything that is on the digital internet, Reddit, Wikipedia, and all the information. That's how it makes its decisions, and neural networks help in predicting this. It is trained, the models are trained based on that. And it is given to large language models. The name says it all. These are language models with the computer to train for. And it understands now, it not only reads it, but it understands and it goes forward. So that's about language models. I'm going to skip through this. I'll keep it short. Now let's talk about image modeling. So we're moving from language models and neural networks to image modeling. What do you see on the screen? Sorry? Pixels? Yeah? So this is the representation, slightly bad representation of a LED screen. An LED screen, if you blow it up, it looks like this. It has 3 colors, RGB. Now, just by adjusting the light, the pigment of this RGB, you get different kind of videos and everything that you see. Yes or no? Right? So this is called noise. And just by changing the colors and the pigments that are there, it converts itself into a cat. Yes? That's how LED screens work, right? Each and every LED has a color. It changes its pigment. When things are put together, it gives you something like an image that is comprehensible. You can read it. That's how LED screens work. Now the whole concept of, this is called forward diffusion, how it is called, and the backward is the other way around. So what it does is, everybody knows about Midjourney. You had seen Midjourney, how it works. You put one prompt and it gives you some hundreds of images. So what it does is, this is exactly how it works. It is able to dissect that code that you're talking into pixels and stitch something together to create an image. What is for it, what's on the left and what's on the right, it's the same thing. It's able to change it pixels that are there. It's called image pixels that are there, like this, and it's giving an image. Now, which we guys are using it for ideation and getting the data based on that. Okay. But the route for this, the way it started is, do you remember searching images on Google? Okay, I'll try to keep the questions less. It was, I think, back in 2010-11 when Google started having this image search the first time. Earlier, you only used to text search this one. So slowly what started happening is we are giving names to the images. We have started labeling the images. So there are programs when in the beginning, it came in the news back then. I just graduated. And we could hear that you can actually search images in Google, put an image, and gives you the data. And what it was able to do is that now the computer started understanding what is there in image. You put a bunch of 1,000 or 10,000 photos of a cat, and with everything in it, it started understanding what are the common things in that, understanding which is a cat in that image. That's how the image modeling started training, which we now, with all the tools that we're talking about, image modeling, and we're able to get that. So these are some of the works that we have done in the studio using this to see how well we can explore, and some of these are like pretty new. And in architecture, So this was my first project where when AI was still like only a couple of months old, not even more than that, 1.5, 2 months. And so before that, there was this dilemma that, whether it is ethical to ask AI to design and present it to a client or not. We had this things. It was already 2 months, and I was feeling left out. So 2 months we were like, I was pretty much into this advanced computational tools and all that. But I resisted myself for 2 months saying that, no, I'm not going to use this. I'm not going to make a design using AI. I'm going to sit and work and do the regular old way and do it. But then after 2 months, I said, okay, let me try. So I came up with the first images. And I went and presented to a client without telling him how this was done. Saying that, okay, it's a school. And the prompt was, what if classrooms are designed like cacti with plants embedded into the structure? That was the prompt I gave. And this is what came out of it. And surprisingly, what did the client say? What could have been the client's reaction? Any guesses? Was he happy that something like this is there and we're going to make it? Or no, it's ridiculous? Okay. He was pretty happy with it, and he wants to build something like this. We're still figuring out how to build it. That's a different story. So that's real. That's happened, and a couple of years back. So these are some of the other models that we have explored using. It's very easy now. I mean, earlier there was a buzz, but now you just put a few prompts, few images. You're going to get something out of it. Nothing to worry. So it's quite crazy, like what it can do. Some of the earlier explorations of how pretty raw images makes no sense out of it. First version of Midjourney, where the images were giving some for landscape. Especially we were doing a garden, and we could not actually hire a landscape architect till then because we don't know whether we will get the project or not. But we had to present a landscape theme for a park. So we said, okay, why not take the help of AI instead of using Pinterest? We started giving this prompts to AI saying that, okay, there's a garden like this, can you design, and shows what it can come. And we actually used this as part of a mood board and presented to the client with some sketches like this. So this was a presentation where we mixed it with some sketches and some images out of AI and combined it together and gave it to this image came in between. So yeah. So, and finally what we managed to get, I think there are slides some mixed up. I'm going to get back to that. And was pretty good. And we were able to make a good convincing face for the client. And he did not even realize that these are all AI generated images, even though the images were pretty raw, but still managed to get out of the presentation pretty well. And now moving on, this was a project where we started this in 2022. And by the time this AI started buzzing in and all that, this modeling and everything was already done. And this was done using SubD and Rhino and Grasshopper. And now it's under construction. But what happened was that these were some of the earlier Lumion renders. So as you can see, we took it to the client for the presentation, and the client says, okay, Monish, this is really great, but it's a school. So it's very difficult if you have stone like this, the students will get hurt. So it's a K-5 school from KG to 5th standard. So he's like, why don't you try something a little bit more softer? So the standard method would have been go back to the studio, you make some changes to the materials, even though it was on Lumion still, a couple of hours work, and do the renders again, maybe a few hours, and then you can take at least a day to do it. Then we said, okay, why not? AI is still new. Started giving the same thing, what the client said, exactly the same words, fed the images as an image prompt to the AI, and said what he said as the feedback, and I asked it to make it softer and something more friendly for the kids. So it started giving these images, which are very flowery, very soft, and where kids don't get hurt in the whole process. So some images of, even though it's very far from the reality of what my form was looking like, but I was actually able to have a convincing conversation with the client, stating that, okay, now this is what it is something like this good for you? And the purpose got solved in that process. And even though we had to come back and change the model, I mean, everything, at a conversation level, we were able to strike within a few minutes something like this and make whatever best out of the situation. But the thing with AI so far is that because of the way it builds the image modeling, having a control on it is very difficult. Okay, that's the reason I showed you that pixel image in the behind just now. It's very difficult to control the AI because it is using pixels to design. It's not using a 3D model. Now, if you go back to it and say that I want to change a specific aspect of it, now the computer scientists are trying to do that, like get as much control on the overall thing as possible, but still it is not as precise as it can be. So if somebody asks you, you generate an AI image, and the client comes and says, oh no, I don't like this, everything is really cool, can you change a furniture or a bench here and do something else? It's not possible, okay? That's the constraint that we have to, at least at the moment. We don't have the answers to that. So how do we get control? Again, so what we did, so this was a model for another project wherein we have designed this in the middle of a mango orchard, where the whole idea, this is all done manually. The whole buildings are designed in a way that we are not cutting a single tree, like calligraphy, but without touching a single tree or a branch. That was the concept, the idea behind this. So what we did, initial presentation, we gave these images, Lumion, but then AI came into the picture. So what we did is, as an exploration, these are some of the renders that we took with Lumion. And these images that you see in here, we tried deliberately using different versions of AI, version 1, version 2, version 3, and started checking how well it is enhancing and started getting it. By version 5, you can almost see that the precision, it's getting very powerful day by day, not even weeks. And later, the same model we have taken, and instead of changing the parameters in the version 5, we started giving it different materials. This is like almost carved out of a marble quarry. The other one is like the lime plaster, this terracotta, and some other exposed concrete, and taking this as a source image. And we were able to get as best as it can deliver. Of course, it can't make changes, but it is able to give the same image and in different forms, so that you can actually make your decisions in a split second on how you're building without actually going back and changing all the materials and all that. Okay, so this is how it is moving. Yeah, this is back to the landscape one. So this was the plan, the site plan, which was done in the standard way of working. And what you see on the right is an AI model, and wherein you feed in something like this. On the right, it was almost precise. I mean, this was actually done many months ago. If you try it now, probably you'll even get better results. So this is there, where it was able to build the site surroundings pretty much like what we have seen here, almost close to what it is, and started making this rendering and visualization with the help of AI in no time. And what you see on the left is a sketch, and the sketch was turned into a graphic. What we feed in as, if you can make something like this using brick, and what can be the output within this. So same for other projects which were happening on in the studio, where we took the Rhino models and started using that as the prompts for this and started getting the outputs. And if any one of you is also into coding and really like exploring the coding side of things, it's phenomenal. I mean, it's far more, the potential is way higher, extremely higher, even when you compare it with image generation is nothing in front of that, okay? So now you're able to do parametric modeling, and this is what we did. Can you write a Python script, for those of you who can't read, in Rhino 3D and give something so that we can make a parametric brick out of it? This was what is written as a prompt. We got it. The first time when it got the script was not, I mean, I can read Python, and it is not fully perfect, and we had to iron out a few edges and make it work. It gave us a code. After a little bit of to and fro, not much, it did a code. It was able to give you coding, and you can actually start building things using computational script in Grasshopper. Now this is just the beginning. Now there are tools where you can actually make, apart from the Python, what I'm talking about, you can even take it to the next level. This is, like I said, this is just the beginning. And now we have computational tools and artificial intelligence tools where you can calculate the impact of the building. You can check the LCA, the carbon footprint, sustainability, and all of these things are possible within the Rhino model and your Grasshopper scripts. Okay, it is happening already. So, am I running late on time? How much time do we have? Anyone? I can cut it short accordingly. 15 minutes? Okay, I'll try to keep it much faster than that. So this anyways the last project. So this was a project where I was at a site, and then the first time when I was visiting the site, we came into the picture after the building was already made, and I was standing on the terrace. This was a pool that is already built. And I was explaining the client that what if you do a pool here, which is almost like a painting, and the pool, something comes out of it, and this was a vague sketch that was given to him, standing on the terrace, stating that, okay, there's a pool, we'll trim the edges, and something pops in the middle, and then it becomes like a floral, becomes a huge painting. That was the concept I sold the client, standing on the terrace. And some basic drawings after that to give him an indication that that linear thing is there, I'm going to make it into fillets and all that. So then I took the same thing I told him to AI and started asking for it, saying that, what do you think of this? So the first thing that came out of this, it's nothing, I could not make a head and tail out of this. It's very raw, very random, and this is not a pool by any chance. So some tiles, broken tiles, and like a flowery pattern. Then I asked it to, returned it back saying that, okay, no, I think this is not what we are looking for. Can you enhance it a little further? Can you give something that is even more? This doesn't seem like a pool, and that does not seem like the project at all. And then nothing, I mean, it was not actually working the way that we wanted it to work. So what we did, we took a Rhino model, again, overlaid what it gave, that image, as a surface geometry on this. Okay? What it already gave, we superimposed it as a surface texture mapping on the Rhino model. Now helped it and sent it back again to AI, asking it that, can you now see what you can do? Okay, this is some images that are done later. Yeah, going back in here. Then it gave me this plan, which is like almost out of Arabian Nights, and stating that, okay, now this is what it understood, saying that it's a flowery thing, and something is coming and all that. And of course, this is not what we wanted, and we are still in Goa. So then we said, okay, now this is not working the way we wanted it to work. Then we gave this, the previous image that was there, this image, we used Illustrator to trace it, to see if we can actually extract the AutoCAD lines like this, exported as 2D lines. Too complicated, we can't do anything out of this. Then we said, okay, enough is enough. Like, we can't depend on AI completely. And we started using pen and ink, started tracing what was there, what was given to us, the Arabian Nights. And on top of that, we started tracing these things, what we could make out, rather than fully depending on that. And this was the final drawing that came out of it, which was hand drafted. And again, fed this back to the AI and asked it to create colors. So rather than trying to expect like the full end result of it, we started making it as an augmented intelligence, where a to and fro process, and wherein we are doing some amount of the work, and we are expecting the AI to do some amount of work, and started getting these as the end product. And finally, it gave us this, and the colors were too dark, and this is not exactly the way we wanted. Then we said, okay, now the colors are not working, the rest of the things are working. Can you give us the tones of this beige and all the tones that are the stones that are available in the industry market, the kotas and the kadapa. Now, you can see still the textures which are very raw, but it read that, it understood that it can give us the colors which are this slightly different, and started giving us these images. And these are the images, the colors that we fed into to the model. And finally, I'll rush through this. We got it, and we ended up making this on the site. Still, these are not the final images. We managed to make this exactly the way that it came out of the system. Exactly what was the whole process, and it was built using, executed it with everything, the whole intent that was there. So this became our, one of the first projects. I mean, of course, there were many other projects where smaller interventions that we went ahead and then managed to build as a collective workflow, where we managed to build everything that was done, and make it happen. So, guys, I think I'll take another last 5 minutes. So the prompt in AI is extremely powerful. I'm sure you guys know already. I don't have to talk to you guys about Midjourney and how to do the prompt engineering. I'm sure you guys are already experts with that. But that's a very powerful medium to write the prompts and understand. It's called prompt engineering. But I'm going to leave this and talk about, if you are very curious about AI and how it is moving, and like we guys are, what we did is, In our, at least in the studio, the way we see it, there are 6 phases of this human interaction with AI. The first thing is curiosity, trying to understand what is out there and get a hang of everything that is happening in the industry. That's very helpful. And to be very curious as to the new tools that are coming and why, and what is the potential to which we can actually explore within our practice. And the second thing is enthusiastic adaptation. Sometimes you have to force it. It might not be needed, but that's how you keep it up to the track on these tools. And it's good to be skeptic about whether these tools are the good things or not, and how it is changing the overall thing, the debate, and the internal conflict. Sometimes it's not a bad idea, not a bad thing to have it all. And but yeah, integrating into the workflow and then making it the routine. And how do you distill it and then dissolution with the rest of the workflow, and be very mindful and in your own way in how you accept these things. But if you convert these phases into an architecture practice, this is how it translates. The first is research and the tools. The second one is the sketching and preliminary design development. The third becomes your design, all the stages which you are already aware of. And but what we were really curious is to understand that, so far we only spoke about image generation, we spoke about this, we spoke about that few integrations, right? And we started looking at to what extent AI has penetrated into architecture. And these are some of the things in the design development stage. One can use, I'm sure you guys are already familiar with ChatGPT and test-fed AI. For the concept design, you have Midjourney, Nightcafe, Linado, and all of this that can help you in image generation, something that you probably already are familiar with. Now moving into, this is where things are getting exciting. It is also able to help you in services. Okay, and there are other tools that are there, like Orchestra, for example. It can even help you do, to a certain extent, massing and layouts. It is able to give layouts and plans which are not accurate at all, but still, it is still in a very early phase. The first cut plans are actually being generated by AI. And services, Revit models. I told you also about this lifecycle analysis and coding already that's happening. This Cubic is completely done with the help of AI, where an office space from the layout, planning, services, building permits, there's nothing much in building permits so far, at least, that I have come across in the last, before the last couple of months. And for project management, you already have tools like Notion, Reclaim, where in the management aspect of things, like the AI is penetrating quite deep into it. And the specifications, yeah, these are, so if you notice, AI has still a lot to do in architecture and construction industry. In the AEC industry, the penetration is not so deep. So if any one of you is interested in pursuing this side of things with AI, from the technical aspect, and if you guys are really interested in coding, there is a huge opportunity out there for people who are really interested in not just being the end user, but even developing tools. The potential is extremely high. And it is still, we are at a, in the construction industry, the penetration is very shallow and very superficial at the moment. Okay? So yeah, I think that's the thing. And agents, I'll summarize it in one statement. So in the beginning of the presentation, we spoke that agents is the future, right? The most devastating and all that. So what is so frightening or cool about it, agents? Okay, so what agents can do is, just imagine there are 4 people in a room. Each one is one AI. Agents can talk, perform tasks between them, automate the whole flow, and come up with something that is like, it's an exponential form of AI. For example, so it is already widely used now in the social media. So let's say you're an influencer and your day-to-day routine is take YouTube videos, scan them, read them, create a transcription of it, out of it, and create a short video and then post it. That's your day-to-day flow. And all of these flows are different, and write a caption and then post it on LinkedIn. Now with the help of these agents, each thing, the tasks are defined. All you have to do is you tell the agents, these are the tasks that are there. You create a routine. and then it can do everything for you and finally create a post for you to just to review and post it. All you have to give is the YouTube video. Now that's what agents can do in that. And similarly, when you talk about that for different domains, it's crazy what it's able to create a workflow around this and perform your tasks end to end. For example, in our case, if you take the case of architecture, let's say whenever you get a site, you have to do site analysis, review, then research, then talk about climate and the surrounding context and blah, 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 and then you have to finally make a presentation to the client. If you train it, it can actually do the entire thing and give you a presentation by the end of it, which you have to review and then submit and publish. So that's the potential of agents, and it's crazy. And because it gives it exponential power of what it's already happening in artificial intelligence. And most importantly, you can even combine different works, image generation, ChatGPT, everything that we spoke about differently. You can actually put different AIs to work in a regular routine and start using it for your end task. That's what makes it agents the far more crazy at the moment. I would like to end the presentation with, I'm skipping some of the slides. This is how agents work. I don't think you need it. But yeah, I'm cutting this, So these are some of the agents that are there, which I was talking about, where how they can go crazy in terms of creating everything. Like it's, the potential is endless. You can see some of the ones that if you're interested, like social media manager or Instagram, LinkedIn. So these are something to do with social media, but in the architecture industry, I would say that it's still very limited, it's still very raw. There are not too many agents that are there directly relevant to this, maybe a little bit about real estate, market survey and all of that, but not there. Which also means that there's an opportunity, if you're interested, you can create your own agents. Okay, that's the bright side of it. So yes, I think that's about it. I would like to end the presentation here. Any questions? I can go on and on, but I think I sense too much information in one day. So maybe for some other day. Any questions? Yeah, sure. Okay. So while we are waiting for the setup, maybe we can talk about this in the Q&A.
We would like to call upon our principal, Professor Meera Maligaonkar, on the dais, please.
Now we'll open the floor for question and answers. If you all have any questions, you all can ask.
Hello, am I audible? So it was wonderful presentation. Yesterday we had session with Mr. Michael Batty, and he also gave someone, I don't know. Now it is working. Yeah, it's okay. So it was wonderful presentation, and you gave overview of how architecture and urban planning AI can be integrated in this field. But somehow it looks very scary to us, at least the people who are who are used to have this traditional method of designing architecture and cities. And now we are suddenly thrown into a world where AI is actually penetrating every single field. We have AI on social media, we have AI in all other fields. At this moment, architects are using technology. For example, parametric architecture, Rhino, Grasshopper, or drone, AR, VR, they are all tools, as you said. You have said. I mean, you have differentiated between technology and the intelligent agents. So at this moment, people are using the tools. But then tomorrow, if the intelligent agents come in picture, and if they start designing the building, think about it, taking clients' feedback, designing the building, how architects can be prepared for that kind of future?
It is, am I audible? Yeah. It is quite scary to say. It's not the future, it's already happening. I'll give an example. I have at least 3 to 4 instances where the clients were able to use the tools. They designed with the help of these tools, sent us the images and said, I have done something like this, I want this exactly what you see. They can, because these are very democratic, everybody can use it. It's not just architects. So they started generating these images and saying, okay Monish, we have done this. And the worst part in this is the ego. Because they think, even though it took a split second for them to do it, therefore it's even more scarier than Pinterest, because earlier also it happens, they send Pinterest images and tell you that, okay, this is what we like. But now with the AI, what's happening is, when they do it, there is this idea that I did it. I am the author. I am the creator of this image. I'm the architect, these guys' responsibility to make it. Now whether something like this works or not, they want us to follow this.
That is working.
Now it's working. So I'm saying that this is actually not the future, it's already happening. And the only suggestion with the students, I think the future of architecture is that it's very important for us to know how to make the best out of these tools that are available. And the thought process, the things are changing, whether it's good or bad, it's changing. The only thing is, if you're not aware of it, there will be someone else who knows how to do this.